Oops. Okay. I'm so sorry. That was not glamour. Clicking on things in Windows here. Um, uh, Honey, thank you for joining News. I really appreciate it. Hello, C4. And, and then we have got. Thank you so very, very much. I want to make sure that I uh, go back to like the watch page, whatever. Anyway, so if somebody wants to join this is supposed to be a an open panel. Let me. I don't even know how to do this. I'm gonna click on invite, and I'm gonna click there. All right. So there we go. Okay, so that should be the you should call it. And Stringer News, is that I can't quite tell what that is. Is that like it's like a little clown face? Welcome everybody. Welcome. So I was given this accusation in the last day or so because I've been hanging out over with Bev, I guess Try Thinking, and a with I and some people were just disgusted with me. They were like, he's just a flat Earth coddler. Rope. That's a robot. um, so John Watson, what is your status? And again, if you want to join the stream, you're welcome to it. This was just supposed to be um, an informal live stream. What I'm going to do is, I think Blue Marble Science is going to have a stream that's going to start in about a little over 45 minutes. So I'm going to cut this off at about 45 minutes. John Watson. So here's a question: Have you done any of the experiments that are in my It's the skies, to a beach sight across 6 miles of water. You don't have to have a laser and collimation optics. So yeah, never seen one yet though. John, have you looked at any of the videos what an everyday person can do with just, sometimes you have a handmade tool, sometimes your tool is a digital camera, which most people have nowadays. That literally is the point, John, is people can talk about, oh, I've got ball earth proof, I've got proof, and it's like, well, it's just words. Why don't, if you get outside, make some measurements, the natural world will reveal to you, what the shape of the earth is. All right, so I'm gonna pause for a moment. I need to open up. I think I've got the. All right. Oops, I have to pause that. Okay, then. Wait, but the quality is really low. I think it's because I'm on Wi-Fi, but the quality really looks very low. I'm going to open up chat. I'm gonna pop out chat. Okay, so it's just two people. You got a P950. That's fantastic. Yeah. So John, I appreciate that. So you look across 20 miles across the Bristol Channel, and you see the Wales coastline. That's great. I would argue that that's quite possible if we live on a planet. Man, my bandwidth quality is really, really low. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to close. Yeah, I hate to close that. I'm going to close that, and I'm going to. Oh, I know, it's got it because I've got it twice. Okay. Okay. Orb watching. What is orb watching, John? Looks like my quality might be cleaning up. I'm not familiar with that. Oh, I got some roboting. I get you. So Stringer News was saying that I'm sounding like a robot. I get you. I get you. Yeah, I'm sorry. I am on Wi-Fi, and I think I had too many windows open. I had like two watch pages open. Um, I think that might have been the problem. But yeah. So what is orb watching? And John, you're welcome to come on in. Um, I'm happy to have you join the panel. Oh, and then we have Crow. I don't know how to pronounce your name. All right. Thanks for the feedback. I appreciate that. Oh, unidentified aerial object. Okay, so UFOs. Um, so Crow, if you wanted to join, if you want to join the panel here, you're welcome to it. It is supposed to be an open panel for just the after show. I don't know if you have any comments about the video. I've got like 40 some videos planned, and they should be all like 2 to 5 minutes in length. Because that comment by Kyle that really stuck with me. That I require light to be traveling in straight lines, and that seems to be a catch-all dismissal of how come what we see, like how come the sun sets in the real world, but on the flat Earth the sun would never set. Oh well, that's just because of refraction, and it's just like the wave of your hand. But it was Kyle's comment to me that caused me to sort of turn it around in my mind. It's like, so what you're saying is what we see in the natural world is a 100% perfect correlation with exactly what the globe would predict. And you're saying that it's still flat because of distortion. So we're taking the flat Earth sun and we're moving it into a position in the sky because of refraction and perspective. And it causes it to appear as though we're a globe. Because I think that's a big ask. That's a that's a little too much for the natural world to distort. Okay, Crow. It's a 6.5 minute video. It's just yeah, you can see it in a little bit. But basically, the point. And please correct me if your name. Um, so Crow. The point of the video was, let's say the Earth is flat, right? Let's say the Earth is flat. The flat Earth says, the sun and moon and stars or whatever are in XYZ locations and predicts a certain phenomenon. And then you go outside in the natural world, and what you see with your own eyes and with your own equipment is exactly what the globe model predicted. And then the argument is, well, it was just distortion. The natural world got distorted. The natural flat Earth world got distorted. Yeah, so John, how far we can see is that's not a great argument, because refract is an issue. There is so much at play when you do over the horizon. All right, there's a lot at play there. You could argue flat, you could argue globe, refraction, you could argue, and it can go back and forth, John. You're right. So guess what? That's a losing, that's a losing debate. The globe side is going to stack up on their side. The flat Earth people are going to stack up on their side, and no one it's always going to be a question of, oh, well, action is just perspective. All right. We see too far, right? Yeah. How far is the horizon, right? Do you see a geometric horizon? Do you see a refracted horizon? Do you see an apparent horizon? All the arguments, they don't move the needle. The argument about, we see too far, the horizon, whether we can see the horizon or not, that does not change any minds. And you could argue, if you're a passionate person, you could argue for both sides. Okay. So I don't think there's any gain in just spending all of our time, looking at the horizon, looking at long distance sightings are right on the horizon, because refraction is a thing. And like like you've seen, black swan, one day that the oil derrick is way up, way up higher. One day the oil derrick is behind the horizon. It's like, well, so which day are you going to pick? We clearly see huge variation day to day because of these atmospheric effects. All right. So yeah, I would just argue, John, and like I said, you're welcome to join, even if you just want to be on voice. If you don't have a camera, that's fine. Also, Crow, you're welcome to join the panel. I don't know if anybody else has joined. It is supposed to be an open panel. Um, yeah. So, John, the debate largely, like flat earthers, love to focus the debate on what you can see on the horizon. Right. That is 90% of the flat Earth debate is what you can see on the horizon. And my it's a no-win. It's a no-win situation because both the globe and the flat Earth people have passionate arguments for their position on that topic. Hello, Crow. Oops. And all right. Hello, Crow. Welcome.
Hello? Hello?
Yes. Yes. I can hear you.
Yes, hello, Charles. How are you?
I am doing quite well. How are you? And is that, I don't know, if you have a pronunciation of your name? So, and John,
Just try to say it and it will be correct.
I'm sorry?
Just say it the way you would say it. There's no certain pronunciation for it.
Okay. I didn't know if the XE at the end is a syllable. But John, the point that
yeah, it's a long story, yeah.
No. I was just gonna say, so John, like the last 6-7 years of debating, largely what flat earthers like to debate is what happens exactly on the horizon. And my point is, if you look up, you're gonna see sun, moon, and stars doing things that they're not supposed to do if the Earth is flat. Anyway, Crow, yes, please. Sorry, Crow. I chime in. Crow, can you hear me?
Yeah, I do.
To speak, I'm sorry. I was in the middle of talking with John.
Yeah, I didn't realize that, so that's why I kept quiet for a bit until you finished.
Yeah. So, what is on your mind, Crow? What did you think of the video? Do you think I'm a flat Earth? Do you think I'm a flat Earth coddler? Because I treat flat Earth people with kindness that people think they don't deserve.
No, I think, yeah, it's kind of like you give up or you give in to the fact that there's some minds you are not going to change with logic, but you would just share the logic that you have, and that's it. I think that's what you do.
Yeah, that's what I try, but it's like, but logic only goes so far. Because, and I don't know if you're aware of this, but in the last 3 years, I I was converted to Christianity. I was an atheist for 3 decades. And so you could logically, like I had talked to probably 30 sets of missionaries in a 7 year span of time, and none of them, and they all gave me the same, the same argument, and it was personal for me. That that I, kind of realized a different perspective of the world, or of God. So it's not really about logic, because logic can be distorted. I mean, the whole the black swan argument. If P then Q. Oh.
Well, I think that's very interesting story to tell. If I understood you correctly, that you were atheist,
Yes, for about 30
not
years.
converted to atheist.
No, I was raised as a Christian, but I was never really a believer. Like, I went to church every Sunday as a child growing up. Kind of came of age. I kind of realized there are other world religions out there, and the ancient Greeks and Romans had a pantheon of of gods and goddesses, and so I just kind of thought, well, like, who's to say that God is the correct one? So I kind of fell away from the church. I mean, I never really really believed when I was a child. I just went through the motions and sang the hymns and attended Sunday school. Um, but and John says our value, and I would say that start with the shape of the earth before you go to the R value. You can't find the radius of something
I
if you don't know what
remember
the shape
that.
is.
I remember you had an argument with Nathan Oakley one time about
Yes.
this, and he asked you about the radius, and you started to tell him how we get the radius, and then he said, "You are presupposing," and you had to tell him that there's two steps. First,
Right.
if it's a ball, then we have a radius.
Right.
And
But you gotta
oh
skip
my God.
I do remember trying it out. But I mean, he's a true believer, and also he's one of the, he's very
I
arrogant.
cannot hear you. I think you're roboting now.
Oh, sorry. And I'm also eating some potatoes. He's a true believer, and he's very arrogant in his belief, and so he could play any number of logical tricks to get around the actual logic of what it was that I was trying to say. And John said more
I
evidence
think
that we
you're
are
cutting
genetically.
badly. I'm not sure if this is my connection or yours. I think you better
Yeah,
check.
and I don't have a
with
watch
the,
page open, so I'm gonna post. How do I sound to you, folks? Yeah, I don't know. The connection is kind of weird sometimes, cutting out. But yeah, so I didn't really have any plan for this live stream other than just talking a little bit. But John, I strongly recommend that you point your camera skyward. So John, no, I believe the planet Earth is what 4.5 billion years old. Whatever whatever modern science says the age of the Earth is, or the age, and no one in my religion disputes that. What you're talking about, John, is a young Earth creationist or a young Earth Christian. I've heard YEC. I'm not sure what YEC stands for. I think it's young Earth. Young Earth. Yeah, 1,000 years. So, no, well, which Christian religion? All right, so there are some fundamentalist Christians out there. I mean, somebody said there's like a thousand different Christian denominations, and so I'm sure there are denominations that they, like they take the Bible to be literally true, that the creation happened in 7 actual 24-hour days, and Adam was plucked out of the mud. He was the first human, just kind of created out of out of nothing, and so I don't subscribe to that, and I don't know anybody in my church that subscribes to that. So what I would recommend, John, is that if you're talking to somebody, and you asked this question, you said, "So you now believe we are only 6,000 years old?" And I appreciate the question. No, I don't. I don't believe that. Yeah. And what you say, tons of argument right there, none of which can be proved. What's I don't understand what you mean. Tons of arguments right there, none of which can be proved. Theology, yeah, I would argue theology is improvable. I can't prove to you that God exists. So I'm not talking about proof. That's why it was a personal experience for me. But It's so funny. Stringer news. I'll be that old in a few thousand years. Hopefully 6,000 years. Um, yeah, creation. I mean, the cosmology is a big, subject, and I think it's very amusing when cosmologists um, declare with certainty that when the universe was 1 billionth of a second old, it had already expanded out into 27 light years. And how do you know? Like I'm sure the mathematical equations for that stuff, but the fact that they say it with such certainty, you know, the Big Bang and the great expansion, the time zone or the time scale of everything. I'm sure there's a lot of evidence for a lot of really interesting things, but when they start talking with great certainty about what happened when the universe was a billionth of a second old, I tend to kind of roll my eyes a little bit. Yeah, well, John, I would argue that there's a winner if you can come to terms with your creator. I don't know if you believe in God or not, but no winners, no losers. Okay, I get you. What are your thoughts, Crow?
Well, my thoughts on that is that between our misinterpretation of what religion says and mishaps or inaccuracy of science, there's a gray area in the middle. And I think we can put a lot of things in that gray area, like the 7 days of creation. It could be, and I've seen a priest saying something like that. He was saying it could be something related to relativity. So we can, what do you call it? Incorporate science with religion. That's the gray area.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
I saw and at some point I'll have to do a search on this. I saw a presentation by a cosmologist. She's like a PhD in astrophysics and cosmology, and she goes really deep with this. But she is a Christian, and she talks about how time gets dilated when you have things moving at the speed of light, and so she's actually made an argument that the 7-day creation can actually have happened and be and still coincide with the time scale of the Big Bang. She has a very, very interesting presentation because she talks about like what would be visible, and like if there's a lot of haze, like the like the light from the day or whatever. Well, like there wasn't the sun and a moon just yet, or a sun and an Earth just yet. Oh, Brenda's coming. Hello, Brenda. But anyway, I'll have to find it. I'll have to find this this video by this cosmologist. It was a Christian cosmologist who basically her point was the time scale can be modified because of relativity. So she doesn't see any contradiction between a 7-day creation and billions of years of years of the Big Bang expansion. So it was pretty fascinating. I tend to think the 7-day creation is just a metaphor. I think Noah's Ark was a metaphor, So, Brenda, what's on your mind? Thank you for joining us.
I didn't see the presentation. I'm sorry about that. I was watching modern day debates.
So basically, Brenda, it's an introduction to a new series I'm going to have where I assume the Earth is flat. I take a look at a very specific phenomenon, such as the path of the sun on the equinox, using a sundial, and then what does the flat Earth explain to us? And we should see a semicircle of shadows on the ground cast by the sundial on the equinox on the flat Earth. Okay, so that's the prediction based on flat Earth geometry. And flat Earthers, of course, say, "Oh, you're not taking into account perspective and perspective and refraction." So then you go outside, you make your measurement, and you find that the path of shadows is ruler straight. And you're like, okay, so what you're telling me is the path of the shadows was supposed to be a perfect semicircle, and instead it's a perfectly straight line. So you're just saying that perfectly straight line is the result of distortion. That's the gist of my argument is like, okay, the Earth is flat, and you're explaining this to me, but it looks like a globe response, and you're still saying it's flat, so it's because of distortion. That's what we're going with, you know. So, yeah, and John Watson makes a good point.
Right. So I think that the best approach, from what I've seen, is what worked against Ranty, which was to have him actually do the calculations, actually measure count the pixels on the photograph of the Blackpool Tower. Also, what factored into that, I think, is the fact that Ranty at that time was estranged from other flat earthers, because there had been disputes between him and the Nathan Oakley cult. And I think that the research tends to bear this out, that you need to develop a relationship with somebody, a trusting relationship. You need to get them to lower their defenses, because unless they lower their defenses, they're just going to deny everything. And it helped. There's a lot of dog barking.
It helps. They're very excited about this discussion.
And it helps to. It helps to remove them, because from the reinforcements. Because one of the things that I found out is that the flat earthers do not watch Globe Earth channels and presentations and debunking. They have no idea what our counter arguments are, because they never watch them.
Right.
They simply are not interested, because it causes them severe pain. Even watching a show like Star Wars, Star Trek, any space show with like that, causes them. And for instance, in Nathan Oakley's, I've often heard Neil Cavuto and others express their dismay and their anxieties about the fact that they have to watch shows that feature representations of the globe model, or that in some way affirm it, and they find it very it produces a lot of anxiety and cognitive dissonance in their minds. Right. So I think that the best way is one-on-one with somebody, and that is going to be hard sometimes with some of them. Right. And also another factor is getting them to do the work, and because flat earthers don't do experiments. Right. They just, and if they do, they're incompetent. We've seen the experiments set up by, say, Brian's Logic, and various other people, and they're simply not even competent enough to set up even a trivial experiment. They conceptually can't work those things out. But maybe over time, if you develop a relationship with somebody, you can get through to them, have them examine good evidence. Like, I think that I do actually, now that I think about it, I think that your sundial thing might be helpful, but you would need to add to that them to actually do it themselves.
Right.
I think that the real world experience of, and it should be something simple that anybody can do. Sundials are very simple to set up.
Right.
So if somebody can get them somebody to do that experiment, that might be a step in the. Now that I think about it, I think that might work.
Yeah, it's tough to get people to get outside and make measurements that that kind of go away from shooting, looking at a far horizon, looking at something across a great body of water and saying it looks flat to me, and it really, really is tough to get people to look up. I mean, I hear that all the time. That's like, why should I look up? I'm trying to measure the ground beneath my feet. What does looking up have anything to do with it? So what I really want to do in the series of videos is just, just really lay things out. Because I mean, you know all the you know all the phenomenon, and I mean some of the phenomena, like it's new to me. Like for example, I didn't know until I saw a video from Jibby Jedi, may he rest in peace, that you could actually image the crescent Venus with a P900. And he's got a video on his channel where he does this live, and it's like, I didn't know that a P900 had the capability of literally imaging the crescent Venus, and it's just fantastic just to get outside and look up. But it's like, how do you have a crescent Venus on a flat Earth? So,
Well, their position is usually one of willful ignorance. So, aside from not wanting to look up and wanting to pretend that they don't have a theory, they'll say, "We don't have a theory. We don't know." One of the script that Nathan Oakley repeats quite often is that of is to simply have a sense of wonder, and so he's encouraging them to have positive feelings about not knowing what the world, what the facts of the world are,
right.
and promoting a sense of awe and wonder about the world, and having a position where I don't make any assertions. I'm just going to debunk your position, and then in the case of Nathan Oakley, he can control the conversation with because he ultimately has the mute button.
Mute button, right?
Yes, and he can, well, yeah, and he's not smart enough. He's not going to come out of there and expose himself to the risk of looking foolish. Some of the people around him might. I don't know, but I feel sorry for some flat earthers. I feel sorry for Arwen particularly, because I've seen last week Arwen had, or maybe it was the week before, has had one of his episodes where he becomes extremely distraught and emotional and wants to kill people. I don't think Arwen is capable of killing people, but he does talk about it. He does fantasize about it, and he does it because he watches extremist right-wing social media like Alex Jones and some of the others. I forget, Tim Pool and others who feed him with these beliefs that this is part of a plan to there are a lot of these people that think that there's a plan to turn people who take the medicine that is out there today, and it supposedly turns you into an automaton, and this is what Arwen believes. He believes that if he takes the medicine, that he will be turned into a robot in service of satanic entities. This is what he believes, and so I would count him as a victim of the cult of flat Earth. There's several others, but some of them I think are people who are willfully using this to line their own pockets, and I think that some of the others are their victims, and I think we can count some of them that way. Some of the people simply don't have the cognitive ability to understand concepts. Certain members of the Nathan cult, you can see them struggle to do simple arithmetic operations, to understand simple physical relations of something like far away and nearby, and it seems to me there are some people who cannot understand far away. Things get smaller, right. And it's like that. It's a sad joke from that BBC show, but I think some of them just cannot understand senses of scale, senses of proportion, and they don't seem to understand their visual perceptions. Uh, um, they don't understand how perspective works,
Right.
right? At a fundamental level,
Yes.
right? You get a lot of silliness about how perspective can hide things, which it simply cannot ever do. Um, yeah,
Yeah, it's interesting because like there's so many psychological issues at play. For example, if you repeat something often enough, it becomes the truth. And so, on Nathan's show, he has the housekeeping questions, and I think they actually turned it into like a video promo, like that they play in the beginning, and it's like 7 housekeeping questions. One of which is there any evidence of a spinning nickel iron core? And it's like, who cares? Like, who cares if somebody said, we've actually figured out we were wrong. It's actually aluminum, or we were actually wrong. It's actually, some other crazy thing. Like, all the Globers would not lose any sleep over the fact that it's not a spinning molten nickel iron core. But they say the same things over and over again. Any evidence of how you could find the distance of
yeah.
the sun? It's like, well, you can't find the distance of the sun if you don't know the shape of the Earth.
It's like a litany
Right.
that gets
And it gets
repeated over and over
every day,
every
multiple
day,
times.
over and over,
So,
and it has been going for years, and it actually took some time of Nathan repeating it over and over for some of the members of his group there to begin to be able to repeat it for themselves, because the idea was for them to be able to incorporate those talking points into their conversation so they could better argue against globe earthers. But it took a long time. The uptake is not very quick. The uptake is not terribly quick.
but you're correct about lack of understanding of fundamental processes. I heard a clip, and I don't know if it could be a couple years old, but Nathan was talking about measuring something in something like in meters, and like how would you convert that to kilometers, which is much bigger. And so he didn't understand that you divide by 1,000. He's like, how can you take? So he's like, so you're going to take a meter and you're going to divide it by 1,000 and you're going to get a millimeter. You're saying that's a kilometer. And it's like, he didn't understand. He had a fundamental lack of understanding that, no, you take the value. How many meters do you have? You take that number, like 3,000 meters, and you divide by 1,000. That gives you 3 kilometers. Like he was thinking you took an actual meter, or you took the actual distance in question and divided that into 1,000 equal little parts, therefore making it smaller. And then it just went back and forth. But it was like, and Nathan got more and more upset because, like, clearly Nathan was correct, because you can't take a meter and chop it into little pieces and end up with a kilometer, So it's like Nathan knew he was right. Unfortunately, he missed he missed the point entirely, So we got a number of good people in the panel, or in the chat. Oops.
If other people wish to come in, I'll just take off.
Yeah, yeah.
I've said all I need to say.
Okay, Brenda, we really appreciate your Goldsmiths. There we go. Hello. I apologize if I mispronounced your name. I'm going to say Mr. Goodsmiths.
Yeah, if you would make it Goudsmiths, it will be better.
Oh my goodness, I can't pronounce that. Are you still painting? Are you still painting? Because you were working on some really good stuff a couple years ago.
Yes, I still do paint.
Good, because I appreciate
so once in a while, because I really paint based on inspiration.
Yeah. So what's on your mind?
Oh, actually, nothing. I just popped by and I saw you were online, and I thought, let's have a look.
Yeah.
And
Please.
then you gave me a link.
Yes, please. Now the thing is, Blue Marble Science is going to have a premiere in about 11 minutes. So what I'm going to say to everybody is, I don't want to step on his toes, and I'm actually interested in what he's got. I don't know if it's a premiere video followed by live stream, or I don't know, but I'm going to be tuning in. So we're going to shut down in about 10 minutes.
Oh, excellent.
But so yeah, please tell us what's on. What did you see my little video, and what do you think about this approach? And am I going to change
The last
any
one,
minds?
I guess I missed. No, the thing I was working on at the moment was gathering all kinds of information of anti-vaxxers. Now, that doesn't really have to do a lot with flat Earth, but
Right.
it coincides usually that when you're a flat earther, you're also anti-vax. And we know some have died, and I'm making a collection of many more I found in the meantime.
Okay.
People who were anti-vax and died of COVID.
Right.
Now, maybe an interesting thing I would like to share with you guys is every year our national dictionary asks the public what is the best new word for in our country, in our language.
Okay.
And this year, the name was hijacked by the wappies, by the anti-vaxxers.
No.
And they brought forward the word jab regret. But in
Jab.
Dutch, it is called prikspijt.
Okay.
But it is a jab regret, and then one word.
I like prick spite.
Yeah. So the first thing our Minister of Health said, they probably mean that they have regrets they didn't take the jab. Instead of the intention of the anti-vaxxers was all the people who took the jab will be sorry. They will regret it because they all will be ill or they will have a chip inside or whatever. And I found that funny. And that's why I'm trying to make a new video with some examples of people who were definitely furiously anti-vax and who have now died. And a very famous one, as well as Rob Skiba, for instance.
Yeah.
So that's actually what I'm doing at the moment.
Okay. Yeah, it's a tough story because one of the things is I'm skeptical of a lot of the stuff that the government puts out, especially when it looks to be really, like the science gets politicized. And so one of the things that I'm seeing them do is if somebody says, I think you guys should get the vaccine, I think everybody should get the vaccine, me personally, I'm against mandates. Like there are many people who run in my circles who say things like that. They, please get the vaccine. I am in support of the vaccine. I oppose mandates. And then what they're doing is they're saying, you're an anti-vaxxer. It's like, no, I literally just said, I think everybody should get the vaccine. And so it's interesting.
No, I understand that. That's a very sound position.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, most say that vaccines contain chips or,
I think that's a fringe. I don't see
course.
any mainstream, But
thing I hear a lot is they don't know what's in it.
yeah.
And then I say, whatever vitamin pills you take, do you know what's in there? If I would give you the formulas, would you even understand that those are vitamins? Yeah.
If I could play devil's advocate, it's like the vitamins have been around for many decades, and this thing is, it's still considered an experimental, it's experimental medical substance. But I do not want to spend too much time talking about.
Stay on the flat Earth.
Yeah, because it could be very sensitive. But I really appreciate hearing about that project. So folks, we got about 5 more minutes. I appreciate the comments from I Like Turtles and Barry On and John Watson, the other Andrew, Stringer News. Thank you so much for your participation. So when you get some time,
I'll keep an eye on you, and the next time you're on and you have a nice, interesting topic on the flat Earth, I'll be happy to join.
I appreciate that.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, dihydrogen monoxide. So, well, did you know that Stringer News 1? Did you know that when they find a convicted murderer, they find that person has consumed dihydrogen monoxide within the 24 hours prior to their crime. So, yeah, it's bad stuff. All right. So, Crow, do you have anything you would like to close out with? Because got less than 5 minutes. I'd like to kind of close down so I could go over to Blue Marble Science.
Yeah, I just have 2 points. Can you hear me?
Yes. We can hear you fine.
Okay, so if you still do the Discord, the civil Discord, I wish you can get Brian Leakey. Do you know him?
I've only heard of him, and I think I might have seen. I don't have any contact with him, so if anybody has contact with him, I would love to have him for a civil discourse.
I do have. I can contact him.
Yeah.
He's like really doing his best, and he fails sometimes. There's things he doesn't understand, but I feel that he has some intention of doing work. That's the first thing. The second thing is, if someone asked me the best flat earthers that ever existed, I would say Dr. Zach. And Dr. Zach, yeah, I know you have some rounds with him,
Yes.
but if you compare Dr. Zach with any existing flat earther, he would be like a doctor, really. And you remind me of him because his last video, he says that in order to find the shape of the Earth, we have to look up to the sun.
Really?
So, yeah, he did. And he said this is the story of the globe. They looked up, they found the shape that they think it is through the sun. He gave a long story, like 10 minutes or something like that. And he said we should do the same thing, and we will just find the discrepancy where it comes from, and we solve the puzzle, something like that.
Yeah, it's a shame that he and I had a falling out because it was something where, like, he apologized to me in private, like in an email exchange, and then I was in like a chat, like a live chat, and I forget whose show it was, and he was like talking all this smack, and I was like, dude, you apologized to me, and they're like, oh, you're going to reveal private communication and blah 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 blah, and then I get this message like, oh, I thought you were a friend, and it was just so horrible. It really was so horrible. It was just like, I don't know why I had to go like that, but it. So he's still around, huh?
No, not as much.
Okay.
No. Yeah. So I'll send you his that video, but I don't know how. I don't know what's your Discord or anything, your contacts.
Flat Earth Math. If you can Gmail me, that would be great. And if you don't use Gmail, like if you would rather do it in Discord, I think I'm called Flat Earth Math Charles. Like I put Flat Earth Math and then Charles in parentheses, and I don't know if Discord has a way of searching for but I prefer email because I don't really do Discord very well. I'm a newbie.
Yeah. Okay. I'll do the email. I think I sent you emails before.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. And to everybody listening, I just posted a link. Blue Marble Science, I believe he's going live. It's either a premiere video or something. So either maybe it's just a chat stream. But that's where I'm headed now. So I'll be shutting this down very, very soon. I really, really appreciate all the feedback and all the participation. I do appreciate Stringer News One, the financial support. I really appreciate you guys, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your evening. Hope to see you over at Blue Marble Science's channel.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.